All right, welcome to the Pleasure Program. My name is Holly.
I'm Victoria.
We are two licensed therapists who specialize in sex therapy. We're here to provide education, answer your questions, share our experience with you all here on YouTube. Take a look at our disclaimer in the description box. Please note that we are here for entertainment and educational purposes only. This live stream does not serve as a substitute to individualized treatment, and it is intended for mature audiences.
That was crisp.
We didn't
I
skip
love
a
it.
beat there. Hi, John. This is going well. I don't know if that's sarcasm or authentic, but I'm going to tell myself it was authentic.
I love it. And that's okay. Okay, so today we're talking about solo sex, which is masturbation. Those words can be used interchangeably, right? And for anyone who doesn't know, I guess what masturbation is sexually stimulating oneself, potentially to the point of orgasm.
Potentially.
There's a lot, I think, to talk about with masturbation because there's so much stigma around it still. I think there's still a taboo nature around it. People aren't necessarily sure about the benefits around it, or what it might be associated with or linked to. So we'll cover a lot tonight.
Yeah. What is the goal? What would you say our overall goal is for this topic tonight? So anyone tuning in, it's such a general topic, masturbation, solo sex. And we could go so many different directions with it, and it's not talked about in the open very often. So
I think two big things is one, to normalize it. So we need to talk about the benefits of it and who's doing it and all of that, and to enhance it, right? I think people might get stuck in some ruts with it, especially because it is stigmatized and they might be feeling some shame around it. And so they get into a particular pattern with it. There is this kind of like, oh my gosh, I need to do this fast, get it over with kind of mentality a lot of people have, which isn't really in alignment with our goal, which is enhancing people's pleasure, right? Like if you're just like, oh my God, rushing, I got to get this done fast because like that's what you did when you were a teenager, not living your best life.
There's like an art, I think, to solo sex masturbation that we don't see it in that way. We don't see it as a way to explore your body, understand what provides you pleasure. I'm sure we're going to get into all that. Like there's a lot of benefits to masturbation, but also there's a way to approach it that might be a little bit different than the way we've kind of been culturally brought up to sort of view masturbation.
Yeah, absolutely. So getting started with the benefits, like what is the first benefit that comes to mind for you when you're thinking about solo sex or masturbation?
I think it's understanding your body and the workings of your body, and what gives you pleasure, how different erogenous zones function for you, what type of pressure you like or type of stimulation you like. So it's a learning and exploration of yourself, I think, is what first comes to mind.
Yeah, I think that's what comes to mind for me first too, because I think that's the most important benefit of it, right? I think sometimes we have this misconception that partners should just know how to please you, and that's so wrong. We've talked about that before in other videos, right? You need to know what pleases you in order to educate, right? And so through masturbation, you can learn what you like. You can learn about your accelerators, right? Like the different things that turn you on, get you more aroused, more excited, feeling more pleasure. Or you can learn more about your breaks, right? Like, oh, okay, like I lost my arousal when this happened or this happened. And then you can better communicate to your partner about your like arousal template.
Yeah. I would love to hear from anyone, any brave souls in the chat too. Like, what do they think of as the primary benefit of masturbation?
Yeah.
Just to get a little brainstorming
Absolutely.
session
And
going.
there's so many. I think another big one next is the safety aspect of it. And I think that we can look at that in a couple of different like realms. One, it's safe in that there's no chance of pregnancy, there's no chance of STD or STI. Like it is physically safe. And I think also it can be emotionally safe. So if you've experienced something negative or a trauma, like you are in full control of you, right? So there is an aspect of safety there, which I think is really great.
It's good too, I think, when we think about like exploration and your own sexual development, like masturbation is often the first introduction to like learning your sexual self.
Yeah,
And it's a safe way to do it, right?
absolutely. But unfortunately, I don't think people have like the positive experiences when they're first learning masturbation to learn pleasure and to learn safety. Because a lot of times, at least from what I've heard, and I'm sure you've heard too, you know, people learn masturbation kind of accidentally. Like they rub up against a pillow and that feels good. Or they feel the water from a shower and that feels good. And then they start to masturbate and they don't even really know what that means. And so then there's some confusion around it, some shame, especially if maybe a parent walked in and they're like, oh, no, you can't be doing that. That's a common reaction, right? Parents can get weird about it. And so then people are like, well, this feels good, but I'm not supposed to do
be
this.
doing it.
So then there's like rushing and shame involved in it. And so
it's such a mixed message.
Could be.
Right. Yeah. And what message are we sending to, these I'm like trying not to bring up what we're very obviously talking about, like adolescents or, even some younger children. Like the reality is that people discover their genitals and what is arousing to them at an earlier age. And so, parents are very much part of that equation, and how they respond to that, should they become aware of that, really does set the tone for how we view the act of masturbation. Like, and so many people feel shame and embarrassment and like dirty, or they're doing something wrong. We have a chat here from Soprano. Sometimes it can relieve stress. I think it says in the moment. I have a big heart emoji, like for whatever reason, taking up the chat. So like it's covering the word. So I can't see that unless I click on it. What happens if I click on it? Nothing. But I think sometimes it can relieve stress in the moment. I'm going to assume that's what is the big heart is hiding.
Yeah. Soprano, you're 100% right. It can relieve stress in the moment and overall. That's a huge benefit of masturbation that we were going to touch on. So you feeling that you're not alone in that, that's an extremely common experience.
Yeah.
Also, like elevated mood, right? Like between all of the different chemicals that your body produces when you're experiencing pleasure or orgasm, right? Like those endorphins, the oxytocin, the prolactin, like they provide feelings of like sleepiness and happiness. And so your mood and your stress relief, totally normal reaction to masturbation.
Yeah. So you have the education piece of learning about your body and what feels good and pleasurable to you. And then you have the good feeling hormones that impact your general mood as well, relieving of stress and tension.
And those same hormones help enhance your sleep, right? Like you release prolactin, which can make you feel sleepy, which is really helpful. And this ability to have better sleep then has even more functioning, right? Because you have better cognitive function and overall functioning when you are getting better sleep. So really masturbation is helping in a lot of areas through this connection.
Imagine if like parents or caregivers were like seeing it through that lens.
I know.
Right? Like, oh, it's normal. It's self-exploration. It's creating pleasurable, good feelings. It's helping these individuals develop a sense of, pleasure is good and positive and it shouldn't be something to be ashamed of. I have a little story to share.
Okay.
It's like a smidge vulnerable, but not like crazy vulnerable. I like had a gynecology appointment last week, and my gynecologist, shout out to her if she ever finds this on YouTube, but she's fantastic, and she teaches sex education through
Oh,
like the Unitarian Church. I guess they offer like sex education for like middle schoolers.
wow.
Um, and she teaches that masturbation and solo sex should be the only method of sexual exploration until they're older, right? Old enough to consent to sex with a partner and mature enough to make a decision
Wow.
about that being appropriate for them. So she teaches a lot about masturbation, which is,
Wow,
isn't
that's
that
great.
interesting?
I feel like that's definitely new because I feel like I haven't heard much of that in terms of it being normalized or taught, right?
Yeah, I mean,
So that's exciting.
we've talked about this in a couple of our past live streams about, what sex education was like for us um,
Yeah,
when we were younger and how limited it was, and it was really just about like birth control and like, preventing STDs and what a period was, and then here's how a baby's born,
yeah,
and you're good to go. And there was no
right.
discussion of like, hey, masturbation's normal. This is what you can and should be doing
Hmm.
to learn more about your
Absolutely.
body and yourself and explore sexually.
Absolutely. Yep. I mean, there's so many benefits too. Like we could go on and on in that. Like for vulva owners, it can reduce discomfort from menstrual pain,
Mm-hmm.
masturbation, right? Like
Is that
that
mostly from
release
like
of,
like an orgasm, like just the muscle contractions?
yeah, like the
Mm-hmm.
chemicals that are being released. You're
Mm-hmm.
releasing like the endorphins and natural
Mm-hmm.
painkillers, and absolutely, um, I think some of that muscle tension release as well from that
Mm-hmm.
release from an orgasm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who
And there's
needs my
evidence
doll?
that I know, who needs my doll? There's evidence too that people who regularly engage in solo sex, they have improved self-confidence and body image, which makes sense, right? Because you're
Mm-hmm.
spending a lot of time with your body and you're showing your body love. Like that makes sense if you're rather than never spending time there.
Mm-hmm.
Any other like benefits that you can think of that we didn't touch on? We touched on quite a few.
I think we talked about the benefit of if you understand your body and what gives you pleasure, then you can teach that essentially to a
Yes.
partner. So I think that's another benefit is that the more you know about yourself, the more you can share with a partner, and then they know how to understand your body and how to provide you pleasure. So it can be helpful for sex with a partner.
Yeah. Absolutely. And what I think is really, really cool in terms of physical health, like sexual activity in general has been linked to better cardiovascular health. And then masturbation specifically has been linked to a lower risk of prostate cancer for men or penis owners and reduced risk of UTIs or urinary tract infections in vulva owners or women, which I think is so interesting.
I just finished the book Smart Sex
Mm,
by Emily Morse. She
yeah.
has a podcast called Sex with Emily, and she talks about how we don't acknowledge it enough, but that your sexual health is really part of your overall health. That
That's really clear. Yeah.
yeah, like understanding the impact that it can have and the benefits.
Yeah.
It should be discussed through that lens too, right? Like it's preventative. It sounds like something about it is preventative of some other health issues.
Yeah. Which makes sense, right? So it's so good for your pelvic floor, which I think is why that's associated with the reduced risk of urinary tract infections and all of that. Like overall, lots and lots of benefits. So let's get into the shame that we were talking about, right? Like if there are so many benefits to masturbation, like why is there so much shame around it, right? Like what comes to mind for you when you think of shame and masturbation?
The very first thing that comes to mind for me is religious shame.
Mm,
Core beliefs around sex being intended only for procreation. I mean, well, we could really pare it down. There are some religions that teach sex is only for a married couple, and usually man and woman. And then furthermore, some teach that it's only meant for procreation, and there's really nothing about pleasure. And if you are lusting in any way, that it is bad, wrong, or sinful. And so to even, I guess, lust after your own body could be, in some religious beliefs, seen as wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. That was definitely one I was thinking of too, and that there is shame around sex beyond procreation. And masturbation has nothing to do with procreation, right? Essentially. So,
is there something you know that I don't know, Victoria?
Well, then my brain went like, well, technically, like what we've been talking about, masturbation teaches you how to enjoy your body, and if you know how to enjoy your body, you're more likely to procreate with somebody else. I was just going in that kind of overthinking
chain
thing
reaction
that therapists do, just overthinking it. But yeah, and then there's also a lot of negative myths around it. Like I've heard some wild myths of like if you engage in masturbation, literally you'll go blind and you'll get hairy palms. Like I don't know where these come from. Like I'm curious. And also you'll get erectile dysfunction, which I imagine is so scary. Like if you don't know around masturbation and you think you're going to get erectile dysfunction from masturbating, that's terrifying.
And I've also heard another myth, it stunts your growth.
Oh.
There's, or that it will impair your fertility is another one I've heard. I mean, these all sound like urban legends or something.
Yeah.
And scare tactics just to keep, you know, like, I don't know, virginity or purity intact. You know, like, did we all get together and come up with these, like, horrible, scary scenarios to keep everybody from just, like, keep your hands where we can see them and nobody gets hurt, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so sad because I imagine these, you know, people that we talked about before, average age of someone learning to masturbate is 15. If you don't know these myths, like that they're inaccurate, that's terrifying. So then there's even more shame and fear around it.
The average age is 15 for all genders?
That's what I heard recently. Yeah,
wow.
From Raina Malik, which is a urologist. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, average age, which makes sense. So I think on average, I would assume that penis owners start earlier and vulva owners start later because in general, particularly women are more likely to need to be told to explore their body than men.
Oh, I believe that. We could talk about that. I would love to hear from anyone in the chat if they have heard of any of these myths themselves.
Or anything else.
Or ever worried about any of those myths themselves. Yeah, or any other sort of like why don't, what was the question, Victoria? Like why do we feel so embarrassed or ashamed?
Yeah, why is there so much shame when there's so many benefits, right?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
That question.
And I think in general, if we were looking at society and our culture and like what we see in media, I feel like it's more normalized for men to engage in masturbation, but how often do we really see women? I don't think as much, not even close.
It's in the media and movies, like I always remember like the scenes from like shows or movies I've watched where like it depicts any woman masturbating because you're like, oh, this is different. And also how it's portrayed though when we see males masturbating is usually as this like creepy, shameful, like embarrassing, people like laugh at them, like it's not usually ever like this empowering, positive, you know, depiction of masturbation.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So I think this makes sense. I think it makes sense why there's so much shame around it, even though there's benefits based on what we were talking about, because the media and our culture and religion, like it's all entrenched in our lives in different ways, right? And so it makes sense why there might still be shame around it. when I'm hopeful with us teaching about benefits and people exposing themselves to more sex positive material, more and more that will dissipate, right?
Yeah. And it might be something that people are introducing now, later in life, right? If you grew up feeling really like embarrassed or shameful, avoidant of, masturbation, then I think it can be revolutionary to introduce yourself to pleasuring yourself and exploring your own body and it's just for pleasure's sake, right? There's really I think it's a liberating thing. There's no one else you have to worry about. There's no one else's needs you need to be thinking about. It's simply just you enjoying yourself.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
pleasure's sake. And I think culturally, there's barriers to that, to people valuing that and actually approaching it in the way that I think we're probably going to talk about. Are we planning on talking about some ways to
enhance it?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Absolutely. Yes. Of course we are. Of course we are. That's the second goal, right? First, to normalize. So that's why we're educating around the benefits and shame, so that you know that you're not alone in the shame, but also there's so many benefits to it. And also, so in 2018, Tanga did a study, and on average in the world, 78% of people masturbate. That's a pretty large number, right? I feel like that's pretty normalized.
Yeah. I thought it would be higher.
Really? Well,
I don't know.
I think there are some cultures with more and more shame around sex and masturbation as well. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I guess.
That people would not report it. It probably is higher. In the United States, it looks like upwards of 97% of men and upwards of 85% of women masturbate. If we're looking at the time span over life, it's an average of 67 to 94% for men and 43 to 85% for women. So a large group of people. Very, very normal, very, very common. You are not alone in that. And I also want to just quick highlight too what you said, because I think you said something beautiful that I want to spend one more second on, is that you're basically saying masturbation takes the pressure off, but you're saying it in a different way. You don't have to worry about anyone else, right? If you're someone who does struggle a little bit with performance anxiety, or you're really, really awesome, empathetic partner, and you're just wanting to please your partner, you can just take a little bit of time just for you and take that pressure off, right? Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we go into tips, is masturbation ever an issue? Should we clarify, is masturbation ever problematic?
You want me to answer that question?
Yeah. Do you have
Yes, I do. Certainly, there are situations where masturbation can become problematic. So, I mean, there's, the obvious legal ones, masturbation or any other sort of sexual activity, there needs to be consenting, people, right? So some people masturbate with exhibitionism, and, if you're exposing yourself to someone who is not consenting, that is a problem and also illegal, at least in our neck of the woods. So that's probably a very obvious one, right? You need to have privacy. And if anyone is potentially going to be witnessing or seeing you or viewing you, they need to be consenting to that. But some people struggle with hypersexuality and compulsively masturbate as a result of that. And that's a really disabling and debilitating struggle. And sometimes people do masturbate so excessively that they can cause injury to their genitals. That can cause issues with just losing, time with friends and family, and struggling to just be present in daily life if they're so very hyper aroused and feel the compulsion to masturbate. And so it's not a common condition by any means. It's definitely more rare, but that is certainly a problem, right?
Yeah.
What do you have, Victoria?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with those. I think that if you're consistently choosing masturbation over partnered sex, like
Mm-hmm.
just look at that. It may not be an issue of
Mm-hmm.
masturbation, it may be an issue of like your relationship, but like just be curious about it if it's consistently
Mm-hmm.
you're always going to that over partnered sex. You can do both. There is space for both,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. But if you're like finding yourself trying to get out of partnered sex so you can do that and all of that, like just be curious about that. That could
Mm-hmm.
be an issue,
Mm-hmm.
I think. And one other issue is that some people can get habituated to
Mm-hmm.
how they masturbate. If they always masturbate in the same way, like laying in the same position, like same place in their house, using the same technique and temperature, like they become habituated and they kind of need that in order to achieve orgasm. So
Right.
that's a huge reason why we need to talk about mixing it up and enhancing masturbation so that you're not habituated. More pleasure, more variety, right? More nuance or novelty. And like you're preventing any chance of habituation.
And even if you did, like if you're listening right now and you're like, oh, I think I might be in the habituation place, right? Here's the good
Yeah.
news. The good news is like our brains are neuroplastic, right? So the reason why habituation happens is just conditioning, right? So if you keep doing the same technique the same way every time, you're just strengthening that pathway. Your brain is learning this is the way to pleasure and orgasm. And then it starts
Yeah.
to expect that and rely on that one way over and over and over. And that can make partnered sex tricky because that involves very different dynamics and different forms of
Right.
pleasure and touch that is outside of masturbation. So, but we can like strengthen other neuro
Neural
pathways.
pathways.
Thank you. Words tonight. By introducing some of these other methods and ways to enhance it, and then like try to weaken a little bit the habituated pathway that's happened. So you're not a lost cause. There is hope for
No.
you if that's your scenario. You just
And yeah, try to frame this positively too, right? Like, what
mm-hmm.
a great opportunity to spend more time with your body,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, that's pretty cool. Great opportunity. It's okay if you're habituated and you need extra time to figure out these other things. All good,
Yep.
right? So, in terms of enhancing masturbation, what might you say around like mindset?
Well,
Big
as
question.
yeah, gosh, Victoria, just like when do I get an easy one? Uh, well, it's like Esther Perel says, sex isn't something you do; it's a place you go. And I know we're talking about solo sex, but like
Yeah,
it's a place you go. You have to enter a frame of mind, a state of being, I think, to
yeah,
tap into that part of yourself, whether it's for masturbation or sex with a partner. So, and I think what that looks different for different people, right?
yeah,
I don't know if that's what you're getting at, Victoria, but
yeah.
um, I already forgot the question. Something about
Mindset.
mindset. Thank you. Oh, knowing what helps you get into a sexual state, into that sexual
Yeah,
mindset. So that might be like, not having a super busy day, or I don't know, not having like a stressful phone call with your mom, or
yeah,
um, having time to do other pleasurable things first,
yeah.
or having other sexual stimulation,
Mm.
such as reading some erotica or listening to some erotic stories or viewing some pornography, going to a fantasy in your mind. I don't know if is that getting at
Yeah, yeah,
what you were, okay.
absolutely. I think with enhancing masturbation, the big thing is like being curious. Be curious about
Mm-hmm.
what you might learn about yourself, right? Like you might think that you achieve orgasm or you feel pleasure a particular way.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's more there. Maybe there's more ways. And if you're curious about it, it can be like a fun adventure, right?
I like
That,
that.
yeah,
Oh, I think that like curiosity kind of lives in that pleasurable state. It's a playful state. It's a curious state. It's that wanting to explore.
Yeah.
That I think that's where like erotic energy lives, is in that kind
Yeah.
of state. So that would make a lot
Absolutely.
of sense. And if anyone in the chat wants to share maybe what they think also contributes to, you know, your mental state. What is the word that you
Mindset.
mindset? Why can I not retain the term mindset? What helps you get into maybe a sexual mindset?
Yeah.
For
And
whether it be for solo sex or sex with a partner,
yeah.
just like what, love to hear more ideas.
Yeah. And I think too, in mindset, try to take pressure off of orgasm, right? That's the big thing I think that's wrong with masturbation, in how you're conditioned to make it quick and make it hidden and quick,
Mm-hmm,
right? It's
mm-hmm,
like you don't have time to just explore, right? So like don't worry about getting to that end goal. Don't worry about that finish line. Try to enjoy the process and the journey along the way,
mm-hmm,
right? And you're more likely to get there too if you do that,
mm-hmm.
right? Like go slow for once. Like don't make it a race, right?
Yeah, yeah, right. And that can become a habituated tendency if you were raised to feel shameful or secretive about masturbation, and so you're always in like this rush so that you weren't caught or nobody would
Yeah,
know. And so a lot of people learn to masturbate in sort of a frenzied state rather than
exactly.
one that is taken with time and care. You should be taking yourself out on a date, really. Like treating yourself like a date. You
Yeah,
know, you can like get very creative, like set the scene, light some candles, put some nice music on, have like
yeah,
fresh bed sheets. I think those are all
yeah.
things that could help with your mindset too.
Oh, absolutely. Like just trying to make it maybe sometimes luxurious, like you were just kind of explaining, like with candles and
Mhm.
bed sheets. Like I love that. Just mixing it up. Mix it up can be anything. You
Mhm.
can mix up your bed sheets. You could mix up. Do you typically lay down? Okay, stand up, sit down, go on the ground instead of the
Go on
bed.
all
Are you on the
fours.
couch?
Sit.
Yes,
Stand
literally.
on your head.
Do a handstand. Like literally just mix it up. You can do change one thing at a time, or you can
Mhm.
change it all at a time, like all at once, right? Like this is your body, your time, but the more
Mhm.
you mix it up, the more you might enhance it. You might learn something like, actually, that's way more pleasurable when I sit down versus when I lay down,
Mhm.
or something different, right? Like you're learning.
Right. And like starting slow with other parts of your body before just
Yes.
going right for the goods, right? Like you can you can
Right.
take your time exploring sensation in other areas of your body to kind of explore
Yes.
what feels pleasurable for you.
Yeah. I don't know why this came to mind when you were saying that, but it's like, I was like, yeah, explore around the cookie jar. Don't just dive into the cookie jar.
Oh,
But yeah,
the
even
cookie jar.
your even your actual genitals, right? Like if you're a vulva
Mhm.
owner, don't run to the clitoris. Spend
Mhm.
some time around there. Spend some time around the labia, right? Or
Mhm.
your inner thighs. If you're a penis owner, don't run straight to
Mhm.
the shaft or the tip. Like spend some time in
Mhm.
your inner thighs or your perineum, right?
Mhm.
Which is, if anyone doesn't know, that's the section between your scrotum and your anus.
Some people explore anal play too, like some
Absolutely.
anal
Yep.
stimulation. There's definitely like a specific way to approach that is safe and hygienic compared to some of the other areas of the body. And I don't know if YouTube would allow it, but maybe we could have a live stream all on like safety with
I,
anal play. I don't know if
I feel like we're testing our limits with YouTube.
we've already gotten one strike. We're sorry, YouTube. We're sorry. Um, but people should, I mean, it's still just education, safety, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely, right? Like the big thing I think in terms of exploring anal play for solo sex or partnered sex is um, trying some sort of like plug, and you need to do
Mm-hmm.
some research, right? Because you need to make sure the end is wider then the rest so that it doesn't get like pulled into your
You don't want to
anus.
lose anything in there.
No,
Then it's an emergency room visit, and
exactly.
that's the end of that solo sex session.
So yeah, exactly. So that is a way to explore 100%. But yeah, do a little research, like explore some of the different anal toys online and see like what sparks your interest, right?
Yeah.
But absolutely, that's another way, exploring these different spots on your body. And you can use fantasy. That is a big one, right? A lot of people really enjoy fantasy. You could be fantasizing about your partner, you could be fantasizing about whatever. I think some people get a little iffy about fantasy because they're worried, oh my God, if I'm fantasizing about this, does this mean I actually want to do it? And it's actually pretty common for people to fantasize about something, but not actually want that in reality.
Yeah, we've touched upon that, and I feel like we could have a whole live stream on the topic of fantasy. Please let us know, anybody in the chat or in the comments, if you would like us to cover the topic of fantasy, because it's kind of a multi-layered one, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know if you've worked with clients that have struggled with that very thought of, I'm such a terrible person because I fantasize about my neighbor or something like that, and they've been married for 15 years and they feel like a terrible person. Or what does this mean? Does it mean I want to have an affair? Does it mean I want to cheat? Well, no. That's it's, our minds are vast and imaginative, and we can go to some really creative places that have little to do with our actual day-to-day reality, and more just about that imaginative playfulness that we have. So we can imagine all kinds of new and different things that in reality we wouldn't actually want to do, but it's still fun to think about and explore, and that's a great way to like have some fun. And again, no pressure. You don't have a partner to worry about. Like, you're just enjoying wherever your mind wants to go.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely. I hear of people fantasizing about threesomes, being presented with a threesome with their partner, and actually really not wanting to do that in reality. Like, it's okay to have a fantasy that doesn't line up with reality. That's normal. But exploring fantasy might really enhance your solo sex, right? Like, you might start to explore different role play or different like scenarios that you've read about, right? And that might teach you some things as well.
It might teach you what you might want to share in a fantasy with a partner.
Yeah, absolutely. And you had touched upon it too before in terms of like erotica. So many people run to porn because we've talked about porn and the dopamine rush that you get and like the constant just like visual stimulation, but that's going along with the quick run to the finish line kind of like in your face. Slow it down with like reading some erotica. Maybe listen to some like audiobook of erotica, right? Like, mix it up, use different genres, and see like what that might enhance for you and what you might learn about your arousal template, right? Or you might think of things that you never thought of before and actually like.
Do we have in the description box, I think linked, it seemed like there were sex stories, a website?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Which I'm feeling like after our flag, we should take out of there. So
I don't know.
To anyone watching this, we probably should take that out of there because
You
YouTube might see that as pornography, even though it's not visual pornography. I don't know.
They flagged the other one instantly. If anyone wants to know, we linked FetLife in our BDSM. You want me to say the words? I don't think we talked about it already. They didn't flag that, but as soon as we linked that website,
it's gonna be like, you're out of here.
You're done. We linked FetLife, and they instantly flagged that link. Specifically, the link they removed. They didn't remove the video, just the link.
That's cool. Yeah.
And they did not do that with any other link we've ever posted. So I feel like we're probably fine. Anyway, if you want to check out some, or before we take it down, go jump in there and take a look at.
If we're gone for 7 days, that's because of sex stories. But yeah, different things that you can explore. Another big one is lubrication. There's a
Yeah.
lots of different kinds of lubrication. Even just like the base of, is it water based? Is it silicone based? Is it
Mm-hmm.
oil based? And then is it warming? Is it cooling? Like there are so many options for you to explore and see like what feels good for you and what you enjoy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, just be mindful of a couple things, like make sure when you're getting a lube that you're reading the ingredients, like if it's oil or silicone. And then
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to use a toy, like be mindful if they go together. Not all lubes go with all toys. If it's a
Right.
silicone toy, don't use a silicone lube,
Which
that kind of
isn't
thing. If
that
it's,
strange? Wouldn't you
I
think that they
know.
would go together, but they don't? Like silicone and
Yeah.
silicone don't go. I don't know, like it degrades. Silicone degrades the silicone or something,
Yeah.
but
I don't
um,
know. And if you're
yeah,
using like oil, you can't use latex
yeah,
toys.
yeah.
So just be mindful of what you're mixing to make sure it's all good.
Right.
Um,
Maybe like stick with the water. I feel like the water base seems like the safest one
yeah.
to go with.
Yeah, it's just
But
you might have to reapply it,
mhm.
but it's great that it doesn't stain, right? Like it's not overly sticky, which some people can complain about with like silicone, I believe. So, like it's good for that. It's just you might need to reapply it, and that's okay. You're taking your time, so all good if you need to
How much
reapply.
time do we need, Victoria? What's the minimum?
No minimum. Just
Just
take it nice
time.
and slow. Nice and
Yeah.
slow. Right.
Well, and I think people don't realize just how important lubrication is,
Yeah.
whether it's sex with a partner or, masturbation,
I
that it's super important and it's going to enhance your pleasure,
Yeah.
right? Because you don't want to have pressure that's too abrasive. So, and you wouldn't believe how many people do not utilize lube.
Yeah.
And it's like the
I think
first thing
some
I
of that
ask
is
people,
shame.
shame?
Some of it. Because there is shame in terms of like there is a pressure, a certain level of pressure for vulva owners to be lubricated enough naturally. I really do think that,
Mm.
right? It's I think that if they're not lubricated enough naturally, there is a lot of partners who are like, "Oh, like she's just not that into me." Right? Or like what's going on?
If we
What's
have to
wrong? And
use
people
lube, then
questioning,
there's
yeah,
a
there's a problem.
problem.
Which is
Oh,
not the case. So let's highlight that myth. That's not the case. But I think that's why a lot of people
mm-hmm.
don't use lube. Also, the lack of just general sex education that we've talked about.
Well, right, to like pause what's happening. I mean, here's the beautiful thing about solo sex is there is no pause what's happening, grab the
Yeah.
bottle, put it on, and have the moment of like we needed it,
Yeah.
and not have the worry like, oh,
Yeah.
is that person now wondering if there's a problem?
Yeah.
With masturbation, you can just explore what the sensation of using lubrication is like, and just noting that for your own sake.
Yeah.
But for vulva owners to not have lubrication that lasts for days and is like pouring out of them at the sight of their partner, it's not realistic and not in the formulation, the why am I having a hard time with words tonight? We should just scrap this entire live stream, simply because I can't think of the words. But anyway, how much lubrication a vulva, creates is less about arousal. We think it's all about arousal. It has some to do with that, but it also can be hormone related, just unique for that particular person. How much their
Yeah.
body creates. And so it's literally you're just enhancing your pleasure and you're just utilizing, tools and tricks of the trade to make sure everyone's having fun and enjoying
Yeah.
themselves. There's nothing to be shameful about.
Yeah. And learning different sensations like cooling versus warming. Like, do you like that different sensation? And you
Mm-hmm.
can also try different sensations with other types of tools or toys, right? Like whether it's a little bit of maybe pain with some nipple clamps, or whether it's like seeing how cool ice feels or something like that.
I
Probably
just
gonna
love
get
the way
flagged
you
for saying that.
said that. A little bit of pain with some nipple clamps.
I'm just like, as the words are coming out of my mouth, I'm just like, YouTube, is going to be like,
flag, nipple clamp flag. They're like,
goodbye. Did you just say nipple clamp? Oh, YouTube. We still love you.
Yeah.
But other sex toys. I think sex toys is a big thing too. There's some shame still around sex toys.
Well, let's talk
Getting
about
better.
sex toys. Well, first of all, the shame. Oh gosh,
Yeah.
why do we? It's like every topic we have to stop
I know.
and
And be
address
like,
the
"Shit."
shame. I look
know.
forward to the day when, I mean, maybe we'll be out of a job, but like where we have to stop and address the shame on the topic,
Yeah, I
right?
know.
But with the sex toy, it kind of goes along with the same as the lubrication, right? Like if you have to bring in some sort of contraption, someone's not doing their job properly.
Right.
Right? I mean, I think that's definitely more of a partnered experience.
Yes, yes.
Whereas maybe it's less of a shameful thing if we're talking about masturbation. But it still could be there, right? Like, oh, I can't figure it out myself, or I can't, how am I ever going to have a partner please me, or
Yeah. And I think there's some debate from what I've seen in like a sleeve. I'm not sure if I can use the slang, but for
does it start with a P?
Yeah, so enhancing like male masturbation. There have been sleeves, right? Like the arc wave is one. Some are visually like a vulva, and I think that there is some controversy around that from partners, from what I've heard. So there might be shame around that, but totally normal.
What, the
right?
partner thinking what? Why do you need this
that they're
sleeve
being replaced? By the sleeve, that kind of thing. So there might be shame from attitudes from partners, from what I've seen.
I think a toy cannot kiss you and hold you and say hot and sexy things to you, and cannot come up with a spontaneous fun idea, or like this whole like a toy is going to replace you is, I mean, I'm not trying to shame anyone who's struggled with that, but it's like really kind of silly and ridiculous, because they're nothing like a human body, a warm human body, you know, that they're just meant to be fun. And if anything, they can really enhance your sexual experiences, because it introduces something new and different. And anytime we're experiencing novelty, it generally increases your arousal, right? Because it's something new and different and intriguing, and that curious, playful, exploring part of yourself comes out even more when you're introducing something that is novel.
Yes, I totally agree. I think sex toys are meant to enhance, not take away from. Right? And you can learn how to use them that feels good for you in solo sex, and then you can bring it to partnered sex, right? And this goes for both vulva owners and penis owners. You know, there's so many different types. Like for a vulva owner, there's external only, which would be like a bullet or a magic wand, internal and
vibrators.
External. Yes, vibrators, which might be like a rabbit. There's some that provide suction. There's even smart vibrators and smart penis rings now. Have you heard of those?
No, I saw it when I was preparing the description box for tonight. I was like very excited. I'm like, a smart vibrator? What on earth is this? Is it like tell you the time? You can set an alarm? It's like, what?
I know.
Does it tell you the weather? Like, what does it do?
It connects to your phone, and you can enter information like how much alcohol you had that day, or how much sleep that you had, and it will literally tell you how these things impact your orgasms and your pleasure. It literally does data tracking with your orgasms. It can tell when you've had an orgasm with it, and it will track it, and you enter, I believe, like other information. So it's like, hey, the
it's
more
tracking
alcohol
the orgasm.
You have,
okay.
Yes. The more alcohol you have, the worse your orgasm is. The more sleep you had, the better it was. Like, it tracks all these different things to help you better understand your pleasure. And same goes for the penis tech rings as well.
That is really interesting. I don't know what I was imagining. I was like, wait, it's going to tell you how you're sleeping? Like, what, do you have to leave it in all night? Like, what's What's going on?
So funny.
Okay, so
But
it
it's
measures the
so,
level of
yeah.
like arousal in the genitals,
Yeah.
and you can track maybe what helped enhance your pleasure by entering the information in.
Yeah. Also,
Gotcha.
you can see your like bodily response, right? So depending on what you're doing with it, like you can see what your body's responding to and what it's not. So this is particularly helpful for people who struggle with like anorgasmia, who struggle to achieve an orgasm. They
Mm-hmm.
can learn more about their pleasure and their actual arousal bodily response
That's
through
really
using something like
fascinating.
this. Again,
Wow.
solo sex for the win, in that if you're
Yeah.
struggling with something like that that's really difficult, there's tools that can help you with that.
What a wonderful tool for somebody to have that does struggle with anorgasmia, because,
Yeah.
again, taking the pressure off of there being a partner involved, and you're just kind of focusing on yourself and learning your body and understanding your body as best as you can is just a wonderful, I think, way to approach that and to try to find some like
Yeah.
healing and progress there.
Yeah, absolutely. So huge. So you can
Mm-hmm.
use that for all sorts of different things to enhance, right? And then the more that you start tracking, the more you might see how you can enhance your solo sex even further.
Mm-hmm.
There are different popular like gels or sprays that you can use, like a delay spray for ejaculation, or like an arousal gel for a vulva,
Mm-hmm.
made by Promescent. That's a pretty popular brand, often recommended by different sex therapists, like Sex with Emily. We've talked about her. She's great. So that's something that you could test out and use too on your own, right?
Mm-hmm.
See how the delay spray feels, right?
Yeah.
See how the arousal gel feels. So there's no pressure with a partner. You're just enhancing it and just seeing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And I think with the going slow and potentially delaying, it can also help. Like if you're someone who struggles maybe with premature ejaculation, engaging in that sort of like delaying or edging, which is like bringing yourself almost to orgasm and
Mm-hmm.
then pulling back and
Mm-hmm.
doing that again, that can help you be mindful about your bodily reaction to know
Mm-hmm.
when you're about to achieve orgasm, if you're wanting to have longer sessions, so that you can maybe pull back before that and do something different, mix it
Mm-hmm.
up so you don't achieve orgasm to enhance the length of the session, right? Like you
Yeah.
can learn more about how to do that with solo sex.
It's it's an option for trying to understand how to approach some of these struggles that people can experience
Yeah.
too, right? Like, I know this is not really the topic tonight, but for vulva owners with vaginismus,
Yes.
you can even utilize dilators to try
Yeah.
to increase, your ability to tolerate different sensations and like slowly and gently work your way to a place where you can try to engage in penetration and
Yeah.
doing that, I think, on your own and trying to incorporate pleasure into that would be a really helpful
Yeah.
way to approach that too.
Yeah. Absolutely. Last thing I have to enhance it, and feel free to add anything else, mutual masturbation. I know it's probably not technically solo sex, but it also is,
Mm-hmm.
right? If someone's watching you, they know how to better please you. It's maybe novel, new, fun, exciting for you and your partner. So, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think that is best of both worlds, and I think that there probably is a lot of like, like pressure around that. Like, wait, you're just
Yeah.
gonna like watch me, or we're just gonna like watch each other, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that can feel kind of intimidating. But if it's something you and a partner are like, let's just give it a try and like be easy about it and
Yeah.
gentle about it, and it can be like a huge turn on, I think, for a lot of people to kind of watch their
Yeah.
partner pleasuring themselves and also can like learn from that. And it can be a tool to even demonstrate and teach your partner like
Exactly.
this is what I learned and like how what I really like this technique, and they can kind of
Yep.
observe you do that.
Absolutely.
So it can enhance again, it's something new and different. So you've
Hmm.
got the novelty there that helps heighten your arousal and excitement with your partner. You can teach one another what you enjoy. And I think one step closer to just breaking through the discomfort and shame around masturbation.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of room for, I think, growth and improvement for most people there. So, what a healing experience it could be to simultaneously masturbate with your partner and not feel judgment or shame and feel like that was a really positive experience. I think it's good all around.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other thoughts about enhancing solo sex?
I feel like I had a thought and I lost it because it's just one of those nights, It's like our last video got like the highest views yet, and I'm like, and tanking. No, that's okay. Hopefully, you can't win them all every time, but hopefully there's been some good information in our mastering masturbation.
Yeah, so we want to challenge you guys to enhance your solo sex. So let us know in the video comments if you feel comfortable, or send us a question. But let us know how you enhance it. Either jump in the
chat real quick or leave a comment. Like maybe what's one way that you might consider exploring enhancing solo sex for yourself? Is there something new you heard tonight you would like to give a try? And have courage. Be a brave soul. Share with us. There will be no judgment here.
Yeah. And if you stuck around, if you made a comment, thank you. Hello, welcome. Let us know if you have any questions, and we're happy to have you.
Please leave your questions or situations you would like us to maybe address in a future live stream in the comments. We have been responding to individuals' comments, and we started our new pleasure program quickie journey last week. So we are planning to be back next Wednesday at 8:30, but we won't be live. We will be sharing one of our quickies, which is where we take some time to address a viewer's question or concern and give our information and insight. And hopefully that resonates with people. We welcome you to come hang out.
Yeah, and we will be back, so keep a lookout for our next live.
All right, thanks for everybody who jumped in the chat tonight, and